Okay. Okay.
Alright, so it's almost 6 o'clock, so we can start. I mean, on the dots.
On the
So,
dot.
yeah, the discussion is basically centered around women and marriage, right? There's a story I read where a woman was asking for advice on what to do because the man she was dating had impregnated another woman, and his family was asking that he gets married to the one he has impregnated. And this girl is offended or sad because he's the first guy she's been with and wants to marry him at all costs. So my question is, why do women try to force marriage out of relationships regardless of how unhealthy they are? So I see Petra first. So Petra, I'll start with you, then I'll go to Aja. Okay, looks like Petra is paused. So please, Aja, if you can hear me, can you give us your views on why we
I
try
don't
to
know.
force relationships out of unhealthy situations, as in marriages out of unhealthy relationships?
For me personally, I think that the kind of society that we're in has some expectations, and I think people have some expectations in terms of age. So when you get to a certain age, naturally everybody is waiting for you to get married, and when you get a good catch in your mind, meets your like your specifications, you want to make sure that you bag the person before the person goes away, and sometimes that blinds you. You're blinded by the physique, by the money, by whatever your criteria is. And I think you lose sight of the fact that, there is toxicity in the relationship. I think, frankly, it's the culture that we're in, and then the age factor, which I think makes women make the wrong choice or pick a toxic relationship rather than stay with a healthy one. So age definitely is a factor.
Okay. All right. So I'll come back to you, Ajwa. Petra, what are your views on that question?
Yeah, true. Age day, it's a big deal because we've all heard this woman's biological clock ticking in here and there, and a lot of women in our society pressurizes us to, get some things achieved as a woman. I think a few years back, or even still on social media, you see people mocking people who have not given birth and all those things, at a certain age. Hey, what you dabe na obe wo? I mean, even if you get married, the next year, no, we are waiting for, hey, na dabe na obe wo, all those kind of unnecessary pressure on couples, and especially women. And as the woman, the same woman, or your fellow woman, will be that person who will become the thorn in your flesh about, what you need to achieve as a woman, and all that. So yes, it's our biological clock is not helping us, and the society makes it even worse.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Let's go back to the age factor that Ajwa was talking about. So Ajwa, if someone is old, let's say in their 30s, or yeah, getting to 40, and the person has still not pinned down a man or is in a relationship that is toxic, but because of the age factor, they just want to be seen as married, what would be your advice to the person?
Honestly, I think that the the purpose of marriage has been missed. And I think when you start looking at marriage as something, a checkbox, you mess it all up. the whole intention is that you have found another person who is meant to help drive your ambitions, your goals, and you're aligned with. I mean, if you go to the Bible, you have to be equally yoked. But we find ourselves trying to simply check a box, have babies, without necessarily doing a deep dive to understand the mind of the person, the ambitions of the person, the spirituality of the person. And we never get the chance to really fully do that without paying attention to the age. Honestly, I mean, unless you're and truly, truly spiritual, most women are looking for marriage really in this current setting that I've seen, just to have babies. They want to know that they are able to check a box. I did it legally. I didn't. I did it under the blessing of God. But if you were really to ask most of the married women out there, would they, if they could have children without the the challenges in marriage, I bet you a lot of married women will say yes. So my advice would be no, really, unless you've really found your person, then that way you say, I can't live without this person. But if I was to advise somebody getting to their 40s, they really should understand themselves. What are you really going into this companionship, this union for? If it's only for child making, please, there are many of options of having children these days without a marriage. Not that I encourage it, but once you know your true self and you're honest with yourself, you get to make the best decision for yourself. So for me, it's not just about just getting married, but what are you in it for? For some people, it's beyond just having children, it's companionship, etc. If it checks all of those criteria for you and you're willing to go through the ups and downs of marriage, then absolutely go for it. But if your intention is just for societal approval, for just having babies and just become Mrs., then you're in for a rude awakening, because the challenges, when they come, trust me, they don't come they don't come to just tap you on the shoulder. They shove you down until you pick yourself up and say, okay, I understand who I am and I understand what this marriage is for me. I think you just have to know yourself. Why are you getting married truly? And once you do that, you should be able to make the best decision.
Okay, thank you. Petra, what would be your advice to someone who thinks, okay, I'm really growing old and I need to settle down? Otherwise, my friends are mocking me or my family is giving me pressure to go into marriage. What will you say?
Yes, I personally, I think that now society has failed us in some way. Um, Back in the days when people were getting married, you'd hear, oh, we're going to ask about this family. What's happening here? How are they like? Do they have any kind of sicknesses that, we should be cautious of? Are they good people? Generally people like they are hereditary. Some of these things are hereditary, but we've grown up, if I should say, from those things, and now we are left to figure out this whole thing by ourselves without even involving mostly our extended family. And it's good, sometimes bad. You can look at it in both ways. The bad part is, sometimes you end up with someone and you're like, hey, you party, I really should have gone to do a background check because I really didn't know that this and this and this is how you were. Otherwise, I wouldn't have ended up with you. It happens almost all the time when people get married. You find something about your husband or the man you're married to, and you're like, now we will honor me, or and sometimes it won't even manifest in your husband or your children. And then you'll be asking some of these questions.
So yes,
Yeah.
I think that there are lots of things that society has failed us on, and I think that sometimes we should also allow ourselves to go through some of these processes before we get married. Um, I get very surprised when I hear people say, "Oh, we're married, but we didn't go through counseling." I'm like, "Hey, what's happening?" It happens a lot lately. Like people who marry, say have their marriage ceremony at the beach, and most of them don't go for counseling, and I find it very disheartening because even for our main 9 to 5 jobs, we've been trained almost all our lives, and people are still going to school. How much more life? I mean, marriage that it will be till death do us part, and then we only go for counseling for what, like 6 months, sometimes even 3 months, and some nothing at all. And what do you expect if you don't invest, or if you don't plan? You are really planning to fail. And so I think that it's something that we need to get serious about. Also, um, like like he rightly asked, sometimes I feel that, I'm taking you back to the societal pressure.
Okay.
Sometimes our own families will give us pressure, our own friends. You know, pa, that this guy is not your spec. You don't like him. Sometimes your inner gut is telling you something that this guy didn't know. But everyone in your house likes the guy. All your friends like the guy. Everyone, oh, guy, you do you based on what they've seen. But your instincts is not is not giving you the green light about the guy. But because everyone else likes him, you feel like, okay, maybe there's something I'm not seeing, or you don't want the "I told you so" face in your life one day. And so you say, let me consider him like that, only to go and get the surprises. Or like I just rightly said, you wake up to a rude you'll be awakened rudely by some of these things. And so I personally don't think that we should be rushing into marriage because of age, or like I'm 40, or hey, I'm 30, I'm almost 40, or I need to get a boy by the end of this year. Take your time, know your worth, invest in yourself. And I always say that if you think you're a good catch, Charlie, you won't settle for less. You won't settle for less. So that's it for me. We should
Okay.
know our standards.
Yeah. Thank you, Petra. So I'm coming back to Adra. Adra, you mentioned people wanting marriages because they want to give birth in a legal way, or to show that I also got married before giving birth. There's also the concept of people, or some women, using pregnancy to trap men in a bid to get them to marry them. What do you say about this concept?
Your mama joining.
Okay, so look, I don't know about the word trap because for me, there's always a risk whenever you engage in any activity that you know will result in a baby. So I don't know if it's a trap, but I believe that women do use it as leverage to say, okay, look, I can give birth though, like I can get pregnant, so that's a plus. So, and it's your baby, so marry me. Okay, so I think it's just laying your cards out to say I've been able to prove that I am capable of conceiving, because some people also conceive, I mean get married and are not able to conceive. So
Yeah.
it's, I think some women are using it to say, look at me, I'm capable of conceiving and I'm able to have a child for you, so I think you should marry me. Another, I mean, there are also women who say, look, I did not intend to engage in any kind of sexual activity. You maybe convinced me to do it. Now we're pregnant, so now you must honor me by marrying me. So I think it really depends on the nature of the relationship. and how all this activity starts, then some women will say, no, you can't take me for a fool. You must marry me because this was not how we started the relationship. I had my rules, but somehow I caved because of your convincing. So you can't leave me out dry. So I think it's really about the relationship. I honestly, I've seen both go, it can go both ways. I've seen women get married to men because they got pregnant and they have beautiful marriages. And I've seen other ones that also did not go anywhere. And to Petra's point, it really depends on how well do you know this person? How much of a relationship do you guys have? Have you been to some sort of counseling? Do you understand this long-term commitment of a life partnership? Like, do you really get it? If you do get it and your partner gets pregnant, it's not a big deal to me. But it's when you don't understand. You just met somebody at a party. Unfortunately, you've crossed many boundaries. You're pregnant. Then suddenly, the handsome guy you met at a party suddenly doesn't seem so handsome. But you are forced to say, "Look, you need to marry me because I need to check a box. I don't want to be dishonorably pregnant and not have anybody to call my husband." So it really depends on the nature of the relationship in the beginning. That determines a lot. That determines a lot. So like I'll really say if you know the person well enough, then go ahead and marry them if you have a great relationship already. If you do not and you're skeptical, then your inner gut already tells you that you shouldn't go. You're just doing it to check a box. And to my point, people want that honor of being married before they have children. And that's why they rush into some of these marriages.
Okay, thank you. Petra, to address points, there are situations where the men leave the women to cater for the children all by themselves. They don't even marry them. You got pregnant, okay, I'm not ready to get married, or I'm not ready to get married to you. So, in this situation, what would be your advice to a woman going through this phase of her life?
Me, first of all, my question is why crash should we use pregnancy as bait for marriage? You don't see, as if you want to get married and you've used that as, I mean, pregnancy as bait, you might get the marriage. I'm taking you on another, from another angle.
Okay.
You get the marriage, all right, but what kind of marriage are you going to be getting? Because this person might clearly not be ready for you, clearly doesn't like you. Because I know that in our setting, marriage, like the whole marriage ceremony and everything, the decision to marry lies mainly on the man. So if the man says he won't marry you, that's it. He won't marry you. If you force him to impregnate you, hoping that he will marry you and say, or that his family or people would say, oh, because you've impregnated him, marry her. Trust me, that you are setting yourself up for failure and for misery. Because once you go in there, it's one attitude after the other. Trust me, because he didn't like you. People forced him. Perhaps his mom even begged him, I like grandchildren, so yeah, I've gotten you grandchildren, but I don't like the woman. So we as women should stop using that as bait, pregnancy as bait, and say and be saying that, oh, you've impregnated me, so marry me. No, personally, I don't think it's a good thing. And where she mentioned, if you guys are even going for counseling, me, Petra, I won't even want to do anything with you if we're going to go through counseling, because during counseling, maybe on the last day, you find something like a deal breaker about the person. It's better to leave than to, than to continue with the arrangement and forever be miserable. I remember, let me relate this to myself. When we're about to get married, my husband said something that like really stuck with me. He said, if even at the altar, like before you walk down the aisle, you change your mind, please save me forever misery. Save me, all the misery I could ever have in my life by saying bye bye now. I would like that than maybe what 2 or 3 weeks of me being the topic of gossip. I mean, it's better. And it really stuck with me because it's better for people to talk about you for what 2, 3 weeks than be miserable for the rest of your life. Because truth be told, I think that divorcees go through a lot. They confront, you see some on social media like, oh, I'm having a divorce party and everything. But deep down, it's not easy. Nobody likes to set themselves up for failure. Even if they are walking away with billions, I think that once you become a topic, everyone, picks any part of you and and massacre it. And nobody likes that. So personally, if you can avoid that, even during counseling, set some standards to know each other. And it's become very funny that people go through counseling and they are forced to marry. That shouldn't be the case. Marriage for me, and like I'm a Catholic. Like Catholics say, we call it marriage school. You can change your mind anytime. I know someone who had been to marriage school like 2, 3 times, and people were mocking him. I didn't understand why. Because maybe along the line when they were doing some exercises, he saw that no, this person is not compatible with me. And it's okay. It's okay to say bye-bye to the person there than go ahead and say, oh, wait, yes, so let's marry. And then you marry and there's one problem after the other. No. I think it's better to save yourself a life full of misery than, be worried about what people will say in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Once the next story comes, your story will die off and you can move on to the next thing. So, yeah.
Okay, so Benny Brown, right? If you want to make a contribution, you can just type it in so that I'll call you. Let's move on to the next question that I have here. Should there be timelines for dating and courtship? So from dating to courtship, from courtship to marriage. Because you hear people say, oh, I spent 10 years with this guy and he's going to marry another person. And I'll say, oh, I spent 5 years of my life with him. He wasted all my time and he's gone ahead to marry another person. Should there be timelines? Should there be a number of years that you say that, okay, if I'm dating you for this number of years, if by this time I don't see any progress, I'm leaving? Ajwa?
Tina, my views are quite very opposite of Petra.
It's interesting. And I like it.
Oh, but I think we meet at a certain point.
Oh, we do. So, look, personally, I believe so much in energy and aura and connection. I think that when you meet your person, that's my personal view. You know that if this is your person, and you know that this is the person I'm going to do life with. That's my personal view. I've seen so many different variations. I've seen people meet a week, they've gotten married for many years. Especially if you think of the past where there were arranged marriages, where you didn't even have a choice. I've seen people date for many years, like to what you said, and then the relationship that just dies a natural death. They don't get married to each other and the commitment is gone. Again, if you really know what you're looking for, and you know,
Angela, you are muted, please. Okay.
so if you know, sorry guys,
Okay.
a bit of conversation around me. So if if the person is your person, I think you can easily make a commitment,
Okay.
and it doesn't matter the length. Naturally, you would have to have. For me, I think the dating and the courting is more for you to build memories, understand each other. Even if you have vibes and energy connection, etc., you still have to get along. You might have little things here and there, but if the person is checking 90%, I honestly don't think that it has to be a specific length of time. My personal point of view, I've seen many examples. I don't think for me, I think I didn't even date for too long, but I knew my husband from back in the day, but we didn't date for long. I think long as in more than 3 years. We didn't date for that. Um, and then there are others that I've seen who dated, they dated all the way from university, finished university, started work, etc., and then got married. That's also, I've seen a very good friend of mine has that story. So they dated for a good 7 years before they actually got married. So, and like, I think, again, if most people tell the true story of what is happening in their marriages, that's when you can really tell if they're dating for 2 months, 1 year, 3 years makes sense. But the stories about what is actually happening in the marriages, a lot of people are not sharing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would know that it doesn't even matter the length of time. People naturally change. So even the person that you met over the course of years would change as they should, because every human being changes.
Yeah.
So it's, can I vibe with you enough that as we change together and we still understand each other and we understand that this is a life partnership? I think that is the understanding, the vibe is very important than the length of time for dating.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, Petra, let me come to you. Benny, please, if you want to share your views, kindly let me know. I'll call you so that you also share your views on that. So, Petra, does time matter? The length of time that you date or court, or you say that, okay, I've been with you for this number of years, I don't see any progress, or I don't see any value in what we are doing, so I'm leaving. Does it matter?
That one is it depends on you two dating. And let me begin with this, that there's nothing like time wasted. Dated someone for what, 6 years, it didn't end up in marriage as you expected, or it didn't go anywhere, as we'd say, and then you guys went your separate ways. You haven't wasted time. I think that you haven't wasted time, because trust me, there are some lessons you have picked along the way with that person. You've picked up a lot of signs here and there that, if confronted with in your next life or with your next relationship, you won't repeat them again. And like I just said, I think a lot of people don't share much about what's really happening in marriages. Like you would really understand and believe that it's really not about the length of time you guys dated. You can meet someone, let me even use myself as an example. I dated someone for 6 years, Uncle Sishay, in the city. In the city. Right? In the city, we just went our separate ways. And I think there was an older woman who advised me to leave the boy. Me, I got angry. I was like, why is this woman saying this? I didn't point why you're there. But looking back, I'm like, the woman really advised me, oh, but because we were laughing about it, because she asked how long I'd been dating the guy, and I think at the time it was like 3 years. Said, hey, maybe I won't allow my daughter to date someone for that long. Go, Debbie, I would have let you leave the guy. Crap. I was like, but you don't even know me. Why are you saying you don't even know the guy we're talking about? But yes, looking back, I think that really at that time I should have just left. But I held on to it, maybe trying to answer some questions, or maybe hoping for a better someone, you know. And then when I met my husband, I met him like he got married to me the next year. We
Okay.
dated for only barely a year and we got married. And if we're being honest, I think we're okay. At least he hasn't killed me yet. Neither have I. We're okay, right? And, and so the length of time to date or course really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I think that it depends on you two as a couple and whether or not you like each other. You can be with someone, but deep down in your heart, hey, you've dated a guy for 10 years, but you know that if we ask you to marry this guy, you want to marry him. But you can't even say it. I don't know if you get it. Sometimes
Yeah.
you can't tell the person until you break up, or maybe you are hoping that you are wrong. So you hold on to the relationship for that long. But it doesn't, it shouldn't inform your decision on whether or not to marry. And it solely depends in our society. The whole marriage ceremony cry depends on the man. So yes, you've dated the guy for 6, 7 years. Left to you alone, crying, come on, worry next month. But it depends. It lies on him to say, I'll marry you or not. And also, there are some factors that will contribute to whether or not he will marry you. If he's not financially stable, and he also wants to, get you happy, because believe you me, whether you like it or not, every woman has an idea of how they want their wedding to look like. Without the guy cry that he's going to marry. So let's say whether or not you marry a rich man or a poor man, you have an idea how you want your wedding to look like. That one, it's undisputed. Yes. So every man would also try to make their woman happy. Now, if they don't have the financial capability to make that happen, they'll want to hold on a while, and that can take for as long as it will take. And the question is, are you willing to wait? Is he giving you a good reason to wait? Are you sometimes you jump ship and then no, and you've left. So, it happens all the time. Life is funny. And
Yeah.
yeah, so the length
Rejected.
of time shouldn't really advise or shouldn't inform whether or not you should marry this guy, or you're dating 6 years and so what.
Okay. Adwa is saying she didn't have a spec for her wedding. Adwa, I hope I'm right.
You didn't have
I
a
don't
spec?
know.
Very right. I had no idea. I just knew that we were getting married. In fact, I think he had more ideas of how he wanted than I did. See,
Oh, okay. Oh, me, mom, dear, me.
Interesting.
My wedding spec that my husband has to go and find money for us to redo that wedding that I made was I wanted to get married in the Catholic Church. I'm a Catholic. And when we were counseling at ICGC, they told us that we can't kiss at the altar. Hey, we Catholics too, we like to kiss. So my husband couldn't kiss me in public. So because of that, I said we should have the wedding again.
Ah,
Yes. Because so please, if you see me kissing him on social media, allow why we weren't allowed to kiss in public.
okay, now let me go to the husband, Albert.
Oh, he's there? He's
Yeah,
here?
he's here.
Oh,
Albert, if you can hear me, we are taking views on whether it matters how long you date or court someone before getting married. Because we've had situations where people say that, oh, he used me for 10 years and he married another person. Or, oh, I stayed with him for 5 years and he's wasted my time. What are your views on that?
Are you assuming she's my wife because we both have Dankwa? Because you're also Dankwa?
Okay, maybe I'm the wife. Who knows?
Ah, okay. Well, I am a husband, but I don't know if my wife is used. Uh, the truth is, if you know, you know. I mean, we can't even whine about it. Both sides. If you know, you know. If you know you will marry this person, you know. For me, just one date night. After that night, I called my friend. I said, I found my wife. I mean, I could have married her the next day. That was because one, I was ready. Two, there were very specific things I was looking for. And I don't have to wait a week, 2, 3, or even a year to figure it out, right? People say I am petty. That's because of how I judge people. I will use something very little to figure out how you would behave when something big happens. So the reason I'm disqualifying you may be trivial, but that's because of how I'm seeing it. And it's not what you have done, it is how I perceive you acting when bigger things happen. So for most people, if you know, you know. So you wait out because, first of all, the person may not be what you want, but you are hoping that things will change, so you are waiting. But if the person has what you want, you will know the very moment you meet the person. And if you're waiting, maybe you just say, I'm waiting upon the Lord, I'm praying about it. But I remember I was ready. Like I said, that first date night, I was ready. So I started pressuring her. So it's like, oh, I'm praying about it. I said, Madam, this prayer that you're going to pray, you know, all of a sudden, you will see that the trotro has not all that glitters is gold. And then you're thinking that God is talking to you. There's a saloon in front of your house that has been written, wait upon the Lord. You've seen that saloon all your life. It never made sense to you. But just because you said, I'm praying unto God, you think it's a sign. If you know, you know. So you look into your heart and then a decision can be made. So there's really no point waiting long, right? The red flags really jump up to you most times. Unless, and here I'm talking about the person who has come to you genuinely. There are those that would hide certain things and they come in a deceitful way. Those are the ones that if you wait long enough, you figure them out. But all things being equal, once you meet the person, both of you are genuine, you'll be able to tell whether you want to marry this person or not.
Okay, thank you, Albert. And so let's go back to finances. When Petra was talking, she mentioned finances. We've seen that in our society, most of the time, women are asked to get married so that the husband will come and take care of the family of the woman. And even among the accounts, they say that if you incur costs, it's for your husband. If he gets anything good, bring it home. So, are women supposed to be financially independent before getting married? Or just by they getting married to someone who is well to do, they will be fine? Aja, I'll start with you.
It's quite interesting, this mindset. And I wonder which families, because in my family that has never been the the education at all. For me, my dad was actually quite intentional about orienting me to be extremely independent. And a line that he always say is, "Men dream say be be a bit show." Like, don't think like that. Make sure you have your own financial security, and then you can easily make decisions. So for me, my particular household growing up, it has never been a question of go out and look for the wealthiest man. And in fact, my pursuit of a husband, or when I was ready to get married, it was, I rejected the wealthy, the extremely wealthy ones who came along. Like, I'm looking at it in hindsight. It's very funny because for me, it was those who were showing off with their wealth that I was actually not interested in at all. And those, I was actually looking for character, companionship, compatibility, humor. Like, those were the things that I was looking for, things that I can't get just by even skill. I was looking for things that came naturally to the person. As this person, I was actually picking a good father rather for my children rather than picking a wealthy man to take care of me. And one thing I always tell my husband is, I know we will never be poor. And the reason why I know that is because I know I work hard too. Like it's always something I said, even at the beginning of the relationship. And it's still something I say, look, yeah, we all work and make it work. So for me, it has never been that orientation. I can't understand it. I don't align with it because I think it's very important for women to be financially liberated. It makes the home running of the home, peace in the home, better. If your husband, however, is in a position where they are able to do a lot of, they can cover all the costs without you necessarily doing anything, and they insist that don't do anything, then that one is a different story. You're being told that, look, I've got this, and in fact, and you also know that truly he has enough that your future savings for the kids, for you, is not being jeopardized. Then why not? Then that way you can sit pretty and enjoy. But to think that you're going to acquire your husband's wealth to take care of your, extended family, I mean, I think that's wrong. My personal opinion. I don't believe in that line of thought.
Okay. So let me come back to what you said about character, then values. If you got all those things that you were looking for, the humor, the character, the values, and a good father, but he doesn't make any money, he doesn't have financial discipline, would you have married that person?
Financial discipline. No, I think there's a difference between financial discipline and a lazy man and a man who is down. I mean, I think those are different. Somebody who, you can tell a man who's lazy, and that's for me, an example of a good father is not a lazy man. So a hardworking man who might not necessarily have the means yet. Again, because I believe in the way I'm able to support my partner, I know that he will be good. He will be better in the future. So not a lazy man. Would I have married him, in whatever state I found him, if he checked all the boxes? Yes, I would have. Because for me, I didn't go in, I'm going to go and take money. I went in with, I'm going into a partnership. Let's make money. That's my mindset. So I think I still would have made the same choice.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, Petra, I'm coming to you. So, financial independence as a woman, is it a necessity before getting married? Or if your husband is well to do, it's okay, you take care of me, take care of the extended family? What do you
Personally, I like this phrase, sikaye moja. Sikaye moja papa papa. Sikaye moja papa papa. And like my guardian of blessed memory would say, "Eya da neodoko school ase." I mean, upon all the education you have acquired, you say what you want to work. So saying how that you want someone else to come and take care of you. When I say take care of you, is the picture like the lay sardine type, like on some count, like I know work, or guess wife. That kind. No. Even though I've been worrying my husband that I want to be your guest wife. I mean, that's not the reality, because I think that once you have good education, or once you have been educated, why do you want to waste it? Someone is even begging for someone to take care of them through school and come out to work and take their family out of poverty. When you have gone to take a seat and cross your legs. You have to work. And even the Bible says it, that and saying you can't expect to be spoon fed when you haven't even lifted your own finger. It doesn't work that way. And two heads are always better than one. That thing that they said, it's not only in decision making, even in finances. Now let's take, for example, even if your husband is well-to-do or wealthy, he's earning what, and you are not working. You have projects, your husband has projects, or he has things to do with the money. Is that same money that will cater for the house, same money for travel, same money for insurance? All that money will be split into several things to do several things. Now let's look at when you are working. Can't that money also supplement some of these things?
Yeah.
Can't your money take care of, say, the house, or take care of petty things? Would there be like diapers, cramp, at least you know that your money is doing this. But nothing at all. Yeah, who be a hero? Because because it's not easy. Money is, when they say money is the root of all evil, I see that evil coming from when you are not working. Because when you are when you are not working, the anger that, like when you are always taking from someone, let's even take as friends. I'm always giving you money, but you never say, "Oh, Petra, I saw these things that I bought for you," and it's not nice. It doesn't even make me feel loved by you. You understand? It could be what, just a small thing that you bought for me, but it makes you appreciated. Say you scan out the toy.
Of course.
Because you've worked hard. It might not be so expensive, but the act alone, into sikanti odofo krabejen so when you're there. Work, like get a job. I remember before we got married, I said, me, if I don't finish my masters, I won't marry you. I won't do the ceremony, because once you marry, things can happen. You get pregnant, So I need to get some things done. And if I don't have a job, I won't marry. And I said that. And I made sure it happened, because, hey, now and today, and get me this, you want to buy some shoes, cry, you have to go and ask your husband, hey, maybe has shoes, no, maybe where they change what your husband can afford, or that, like, there are other more pressing things to be attended to with that same small money in the house. So you can't go and be adding your fashion stuff there. But once you are earning your own money, me, I came to help you. I'm not the one to bear all the burden. So I can help you. You understand? Yeah. But if there's nothing coming at all, that's not cool. That's not cool. So I think that women should be industrious, and even if you want a soft life, I think you should have something going on for yourself before you jump into marriage. Don't say, he should come and take care of me and my family. Masa, he might enjoy doing it in the beginning, but trust me, it will get to a point that he will become fed up. You understand? So I think that we should try to help our partners by becoming industrious, or by putting some value in ourselves, And that's why when people say what do you bring to the table? And some people say what, I am the table.
Yes.
Yeah, baby. What did I say? Be someone somebody would want to start a life with, or start a family with. Or who knew he did grace? It's not like I come to put all your burden on the person. That's that one, dear. So I don't think that you should also do that to someone's brother.
Okay, so Albert, let me take the male perspective here. We live in a society that believes that men are providers, and men are supposed to take care of the home, by extension, the woman's extended family. What will you say about a woman going into marriage and she's not financially independent because the husband is going to take care of her?
Um, hmm. So I am of the view that the man should take care of his family. And for that reason, it may not be that I am expecting the woman to already be working or be financially stable before we get married. And that's because of what I will be looking at. So if I am of the view that the man should take care of the family, then the view is that the woman should also be the holder of the home, right? So what I will be looking at is, do you have the capability to hold the home? Not, do you have the financial ability to support me? That's how I look at it. However, if I am to decide, say I have seen somebody who has the ability to hold a home, and as a bonus, she's earning financially, life will be easier. So there's a good chance that I may consider that much more than someone who has no prospect of financial earning, right? So it will not be the deciding factor per se, but it makes things easier. The other thing too is, for instance, so because of that view, if I'm looking at my money and I'm looking at my earning ability, the house to take care of everything in the house. My wife's money would be a bonus. So this is how I look at it. If my wife brings her money to support me, I need to appreciate it because that's not her job. So it's more like, thank you for bringing your money. We are using your money for so and so, right? I would appreciate it from that point of view. Likewise, if I also play a quote unquote woman role, like sweeping or bathing the kids or whatever, you would also have to appreciate me from that point of view. So if the woman ends, hallelujah, life goes on faster. Because if there's something that you need to get as a family, if there's a property you want to get as a family, you'll be able to move faster. And the way I see money as, we use money to buy time.
Yeah.
So if my earning ability is say 100,000 and my wife is also earning 100,000 or 50,000 and she's bringing her money, we are both buying like 6 months of our lives,
Yeah.
right? So what do we do with that 6 months? We can choose to travel around or spend time together and not worry so much about what we are going to eat in the next 6 months because we already bought that time ahead.
Yeah.
So if a woman works, it's better. It makes life easier for the family. You don't fight a lot because, believe it or not, finances is usually either the number one or number two reasons why a lot of people divorce or a lot of fight happen in the house. But if there's money and your wife spends on her, she's going to buy Bone Street. You won't be shouting up and down because you know. But if there's no money and she has gone to spend 5,000 on Bone Street, you just be screaming on top of your voice and you're going to have issues. And for the next month, you're not going to talk because you want to punish her for spending 5,000 on her, whilst you could have used that to buy 5 bags of rice, you know. So money stops all nonsense. So if you earn so much that you, so let me put it, sometimes I tell my wife that I don't need your money. You can use your money. Not that I don't need it, but you can use your money for whatever you want it for. All right. But times that we have to do a big project, of course, it's like, hey, I need this money now. So you have to come support me. So we do this. So it's good that if a woman earns, it makes life easier in the house, but it's not her responsibility as so to speak, to be providing for the house, unless if for some reason the man is down and she's picking up to support the family. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I think we have 7 minutes to go. Should I pick another question? Your last words. Okay, let me pick a last question. There are situations where people go like, okay, the next person I'm going to meet is the one I'm going to get married to. Whether they know how the person is, how the they don't know how the relationship is going to end up, whether the person is going to be abusive or the person is going to be bad. They don't know, but they just put it at the back of their mind that that's going to be my last relationship. Do you think it's a good thing to do, Petra?
I'll start with a boy. What if he's your worst nightmare? Boy, David, never. I mean, never, ever, 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 never. Yeah, don't say that. Hey, why are you counting them? No, we are looking at character. Do your investigation. Look out for your red flags. If he doesn't match your criteria, please move on. It doesn't matter if he's the 100th and whatever F person you are dating. Please move on to the next person. Someone will say, drop him like he's a bad habit. Never ever say, oh, I've dated her, so the next person will be there. So to send patrol. Never ever go for less because of the nth time you think you're dating. And let me take you back a bit.
Okay.
About women earning. Even if you are earning, I beg you, don't go and spend on your wedding. Me, this thing is very, very important to me. You see, you shouldn't spend on your wedding. It is when you marry that you become husband and wife, so you can support your husband. But once you're dating and you think you are working, you have money, please don't go and say, oh, Nase, I want a big wedding. Please. If the man's money can afford a very simple wedding, please let him do what he can. Don't go and say, because I earn, let me put in 30,000. No. Me, Petra, no. I won't advise that. I won't advise that.
Why would you advise that?
Oh, Ernestina, that would take us another 1 hour. Because see, something that you have invested in, you have bigger sale. Like, let's say your wedding costs like what, 100,000. Your husband has brought say 30. Now was 70 now somebody are call. Hey, send you on a you. You know, you see, you are sitting in your parents' house or you are sitting in your one corner, waiting to be married. I remember I said, see, I haven't begged you to come and marry me. I'm minding my own business in my corner. So it's not, it shouldn't be that I'm contributing my life savings just so you put a ring on my finger. And then what? And then what will happen? Now, may I sign investments in now and then we go back and it's a disaster. What happens to me? Investments, not share.
Investments.
No. So personally, I don't think it's a good thing. You go and the women who do that simply because they do that because yes, they know they are earning, they know they are capable of. But I personally don't think it's advisable because once you put in so much, you feel like you're co-equals. You feel like you're co-equals somehow. You understand? So some people, I think I've even seen a wedding that the girl's parents are the rich ones, so to say, sponsoring the wedding. And so instead of saying, let's say the man marrying the girl, it's like the girl marrying the man. I mean, you know, like Petra marrying so and so. Not cool. What's I say? So right from even the invitation card crack, asamaba. You know, right from there, there's a conflict there. So